What's up, bitches? I literally just woke up.
Bonjour.
Like I'm in the alley.
I turned on ads on the channel, and I hate that I have to watch the ads to get to the chat.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Blockers.
Yeah, I know we'll make 18 cents. So
Woohoo.
18 cents is better than nothing.
And we're rolling.
well, so is pie better than 18 cents, Labra?
Depends on the pie. Is it apple, strawberry?
No, it's pie.
Cherry.
Pie.
Like the math pie, like the
Right.
3.151926593589793238462.
I'm just supposed to trust that he's reading the right numbers, right? Fuck you, Labra.
3279502.
Labra!
And mute.
Labra, come back inside.
Lara,
We all
Boom.
know he's just got it on his phone.
Okay,
background,
I'll
right?
shut up.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. You made it to another episode of the Meme Factory podcast. This evening, we are joined by Yusuf Nessary. Yusuf, say hi. And Scott Sibley of Shamery. Shamery? Say hi, Scott.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So, I wanted to welcome you guys in. If you could, take a moment with each other and tell our audience who we are.
Perfect.
Elevator
Well,
speech.
Awesome. Hello, it's Scott Sibley here, creator of Shamery, and this episode of the Meme Factory podcast is brought to you by our late.
Nope. Introduce yourself.
Stop. Mute.
Introduce yourself.
Sorry.
Just
One-
mute. Yeah.
We'll get there.
He pulled a Greg right there, a little premature.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's right.
I was so excited for
I'd
the
be
new
nervous
product
too.
when I released. It's
It's
gonna
understandable.
take one
It's okay.
So backtracking, this is Scott Sibley. I am the co-creator of the Shamery product line, which is helping to educate kids and families about Bitcoin in fun, low stakes way. And through that, being able to partner with great product companies like Yusuf and Built with Bitcoin Factory or Built with Bitcoin Foundation.
Cool. And Yusuf.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yusuf Nessary. I am the co-founder and director of philanthropy for the Built with Bitcoin Foundation. Essentially, we use Bitcoin and its technology to build schools, water well systems, and farming projects on 4 different continents, affecting the lives of over 250,000 people. And our basis and most important facet of our organization is not just building projects, but also connecting with communities and teaching them about financial literacy and Bitcoin education.
Thank you, Yusuf. Now, Scott, as you became recently aware, you guys are going to be part of a joint project with Suscorp and Built with Bitcoin. I know that you've seen a few episodes, so you know that Suscorp requires us to have the guests read the ad copy, which you were ready to jump into, and I appreciate that. But now's the time if you want to pull that up.
No problem. See if round 2 is even better.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Scott Sibley here, curator of Shamery, and on this episode of the Meme Factory podcast is brought to you by our latest game, a collaboration with Suscorp, Regards Against Humanity. Regards Against Humanity lets you play with the most debated statements in the Bitcoin world, create your own altcoin slogans by stringing together some of the most regarded statements to come out of the crypto world and making your best Bitcoin FUD. Ever wondered about Bitcoin boiling the oceans or the importance of transactions per second? Now's your chance to play, laugh, and learn. Remember, it's not just a game, it's a ride into the heart of Bitcoin.
All right, now, Yusuf, you have your section of that as well.
This is Yusuf Nessary from the Built with Bitcoin Foundation here. We have also partnered with the Suscorp to drive a humanitarian mission with this game and its proceeds. Each game of Regards Against Humanity you buy supports an ambitious project to reduce waste and minimize environmental impact. Very important. We're reducing waste by getting rid of it entirely, not existing anymore. The foundation has secured manual labor at ultra low cost from federal penitentiaries across the US, meaning we can get more done with less. The inmates enjoying outside activity for 12 hours per day create new landfills for our refuse to go into. But how do we achieve a net zero carbon impact in the US? Well, that's easy. We've contracted with Native American reservations to provide the landfill real estate. So every time you enjoy a game of Regards Against Humanity, you're also playing your part in creating a better world.
Yay.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
We
amazing.
get
You get paid now.
Thank
Well,
you.
no, I think
Yes.
we're not going
Thank
to get
you.
paid on that one. All the proceeds are going to the landfill project, I think. So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
But we're getting
Excellent.
paid and then we're sending the money, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I think we may have gotten 3.14 sats for that.
Exactly.
You want me to continue or?
No. I think next up is Becca with the current sandwich menu. So,
Yeah, and
gentlemen, if you'll take your attention and look at Becca.
yeah, especially for Yusuf, since you said you've been fasting. So I got a couple of sandwiches here for you to choose from. So I have 3 of them. We have the Shamery Sammy. So it's a new anti-STEM, so simple, traditional, and maternal DIY Sammy kit that's going to teach your kids how to build sandwiches. And the cards are included. So, and our next special is the WorldCon Sammy. Okay. This is a WEF approved bug meal maxing carbon reducing Sammy. It includes $30 and an individualized watermark that is burnt onto your retina. So it does come with a warning. There's long wait times, so you're going to have to stand in line. And our house special, Yellow's Don't Stop Believing Steak Sammy, has been marinated in Red Bull for 626 days.
Oh my god!
And Yellow has a little message. He's just reminding everyone to touch some grass. Okay.
Look at his eyes.
Oh my god!
So please feel free to select one or maybe all of these. Scott, please.
You know, I think I gotta go with the chamois Sammy, just to stay on brand. It sounds delicious. You know, has a good kid mission behind it. I like the little icons. I love the twist on STEM. I think it's probably even better. I'm sure it's gonna be in schools everywhere. That new acronym, it's perfect.
Love it. And Yusuf?
Am I allowed to choose the same thing that Scott did, or no? Is there not enough supply?
Of course. No. I have enough
Is
kits
Scott the
in the
boss of you?
kitchen. Yeah.
So the Shaw Sammy, please. I don't know what I would do with the $30 from WorldCon. I need my retinas intact, and Red Bull does not give me wings, so I would much rather not.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Shamory Sammy, please.
Perfect.
We'll have those right over to you.
Excellent
Awesome.
choices, gentlemen. All right, so how long have you two been dating now?
Long distance.
Well, yeah, it's about 2 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's been hard.
It's been tough, mostly because I'm a Padre fan. He's a Dodger fan, so there's a lot of fighting that goes on.
Ooh, Giants.
Yeah, I mean, opposites.
Giants are the best
Opposites
team in
attract.
California. Everyone knows that.
Oh, geez, now we're all gonna.
How could you be so brave, Sean?
Yeah.
All right,
Yikes.
so I want to start with Scott. Scott,
Yes.
One of the characters in your children's book, Satoshi.
Yes.
He is an orange, or not an orange. There he is. He's a purple monster. Where did you get the inspiration for this particular monster?
Good question.
And
So,
do you owe Yellow royalties?
no royalties, I assure you that. The inspiration for all the monsters came from the game. Was our first product we created, and long story short, this was it sounds crazy. Over 3 years ago, when Mallory, my wife, and I started kind of brainstorming the game. It teaches about Bitcoin mining, and it's a card game, so there's physical cards, and we were trying to fit too much information on these cards and make it way too technical for especially the audience of younger kids. And so that's when we came back to the gameplay similar to the game of memory. We need to make these cards be memorable, fun, something that the players are going to kind of have etched in their brain. So when you're flipping over cards, you know what's going on. And so the idea for these cute monster characters came about. So there's 16 of them in total. Satoshi and Hal are the two that have names that play into our book. So there's another 14 that can be bought off for a certain price if you want to name one after WorldCon or Yellow's DSP or anything out there. But it goes back to the game and trying to make the game as fun as possible, really, is the simple answer to the question.
Now, we do have a number of memers who watch this. Some of them have shallow pockets, some of them have deep pockets. Now, you're inviting naming of characters here from memers. So I just want you to understand what you might be getting into here.
Don't let Sully hear.
I think it's too late. I think it's too late. Sully and Rope already heard.
Hey, it's a dangerous task, but we can make it happen. We got Rick over at Krypton Cloaks. He's naming all his printers, so we can name all the monsters.
Exactly. Now, this particular monster, Satoshi, is the one that's connected to Yusuf. Can you guys tell me a little bit about how that collaboration came about?
Sure. I kick things off and then hand it over there. So it's probably been about, like 2 years since we started dating, as we said earlier. Noticed kind of the joint work we were doing together. I think I reached out to Yusuf on Twitter, and as most things in Bitcoin, people are open to hearing what's going on. We connected up, talked about everything. They're doing awesome work, building schoolhouses and that sort of stuff around the world, but in particular in Africa at that time. And so, back then we were working together to donate games and books that we've created to be able to get to the kids down there. And, over those 2 years, building not only a professional relationship, but a friendship. And one of the things that on the Shamari side, we kept hearing over and over again from people who liked what we were doing was, when are you going to make a plushie of the characters? And so, we didn't want to just make a simple plushie and just put it out there. And so that's where the idea came about, to really take our partnership with what Yusuf and the team at Built with Bitcoin are doing to the next level, create our first plushie with a mission behind it. So that's where the Satoshi came from. You'll notice there's the Africa symbol in the middle there.
Subtle.
And so Satoshi, exactly. So the Satoshi character here represents the work that Yusuf and his team is doing in Africa. The initial goal that we have is the first $7,000 raised from the sale of these plushies will go directly towards building a water well down on the continent. We're about 60% of the way there over the first few months. And so that's kind of the growth of our partnership over the years. And Yusuf can fill in any blanks on his side of things as well.
Yeah, Yusuf, I'm confused about why a water well, because my entire life my parents were telling me to finish my food because they were starving children in Africa. Nobody ever told me that they were dying of dehydration.
Well, water is a huge issue everywhere around the world, even here in the United States. But, after Scott slid into my DMs about 2 years ago, I was, we've been able to accomplish a lot together. And, to Scott's point, he was able to think of an idea on how to introduce people that may not have understood or understand what the situation on the ground there in Africa is like, or in Latin America or Southeast Asia, et cetera, et cetera. So we just wanted to build connection. That's what we want to do. We're connectors. Bitcoin is as universal as it possibly can be. So it doesn't care about flags. It doesn't care about country lines or even languages. And so if folks here in the United States, for example, in North America can connect with someone in Africa through Bitcoin, figuratively and literally, we thought that this would be a great mechanism for us to educate people on what's going on the ground specifically. And what's happening on the ground is people are very eager and interested to want to learn as much as they possibly can because their daily circumstances are nothing like ours, unfortunately. And so they see Bitcoin as this tool, a humanitarian tool, not from a charity perspective, right? We're not here to pull on anyone's heartstrings whatsoever. It's more so to really allow folks to understand the real hard facts of what's happening on the ground and how Bitcoin is affecting their lives in a positive way.
But none of that answers the why water well versus food.
Well, how can one grow food without water? So everything begins with water, right? And so every community that we ever work in, we have to start at the fundamental foundational level. And that's through water. Water is life, quote unquote, right? As cliche as it can sound, it is true. Yeah. And so how can one cultivate and harvest a garden, fruits and vegetables, build a school without water? You can't do anything without it. And so depending on the locale, whether it's in El Salvador, for example, which we've built projects in, or Rwanda, or Ghana. Every community in every area around the world has a different topography, which requires a different set of projects. In some places, we build rain catchment systems. Other places, we build boreholes that have hand pumps that you normally see what a water well looks like. It all depends on what's happening on the ground itself. So to answer your question, water needs to come first. The chicken or the egg, who knows? But we believe that water is the beginning stone that we place on the ground to build a community structure.
And how long have you been doing this now?
Building projects about 13 years. So 13 years ago, I set foot in Africa for the very first time, and I was able to see firsthand the situation on the ground. I was very optimistic when I left, that I knew that I wanted to do something there, to give back to a place that gave me so much purpose. My family comes from Afghanistan, and they came to the United States in 1980 as refugees due to the invasion of the Russian war. And so my family was afforded an opportunity to either thrive or to succumb to their circumstances. And they thankfully chose the former. And so for me to see what was happening on the ground in Africa, I wanted to be a part of a positive change for them. And then 7 years ago, I found Bitcoin through a very interesting story. And I was raising funds for another nonprofit that I had started. And there was a very significant contribution that came in. Unfortunately, it was flagged as potential fraud. Why? Because of how much it was and where it came from. And so what led was an email exchange to this specific person who I didn't even know who they were, and asked them if there was another form of payment that they could make. Thankfully, their response back to me was one line: do you accept Bitcoin? I had absolutely no idea what Bitcoin was. This is 2016, 2017. So a lot of stuff that was on the internet was extremely negative. A lot of FUD was out there. And the person on the other side of that email was Ray Youssef, who is the co-founder of the Built to Bitcoin Foundation. And he was the founder, or is the founder, of Paxful. And he came to me and said, hey man, I've got this dream. I've got this goal. I want to build schools using Bitcoin. And every single time that I had a question about Bitcoin, I had a really great resource in him. So I was orange pilled via email. And from there, we've built 13 schools in 10 different countries, over a dozen water well projects, hundreds of farming systems, and have been able to affect the lives of over 250,000 people around the world, and many more to come, I hope.
So I'm wondering, what are the, after 13 years of building schools and wells and rainwater collection systems, what does progress look like? What are the milestones of progress for a community to get some of this stuff installed? And how does Bitcoin play into that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll answer the second part of the question first. So when it comes to, humanitarian philanthropic work, being based here in the United States, it affords us the opportunity to be considered an international NGO. That's huge because it brings legitimacy when you walk into someone's office around the world and wanting to tell them, hey, we want to build a school. We want to be able to connect with you with an MOU for a Ministry of Education, so on and so forth. When it comes to Bitcoin, a lot of the areas of the world that I work in are dealing with extreme levels of inflation. I mean, ones that are incalculable to many metrics, but more so the inclusivity to the financial global system. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is being able to send funds at any time that we want for it to be able to arrive there almost instantly. That's a huge positive, a net positive for us, because when it comes to efficiency and productivity, a lot of times previously in my fiat organization that I was running, it would take weeks upon months to be able to send an entire batch of funds to build a school, for example. And so those are two key points as to why Bitcoin really truly matters here in the work that we do. To answer the first part of your question, the metric of success, it depends, again, solely on the community itself. Walking to a community and me thinking that I know what they need is the biggest mistake that I can possibly make. One facet that changes the way that we do work is we actually connect with the community. We have to be able to speak to them, engage with them, listen, and learn from them. And I know that sounds like a lot of work because it is a lot of work. So much of my work has nothing to do with money. A lot of it has to do with interpersonal communication. And that to me is a barometer or metric of or a measurement of success that is intangible, right? You can't really quantify that.
What I'm getting after is when you put in, after you spend time in the community and getting to understand their wants and needs, and you decide, okay, this community wants and needs a school, this community wants and needs a new well. What knock-on effects are you seeing after that? What kind of, after 13 years, is there a pattern to the benefits that you see coming out of these communities as they develop?
Yeah, it's actually a really great question. One of the patterns that we see is the level of engagement that communities have with our projects, okay? Secondly, we are noticing patterns from a 30,000 feet, kind of view and perspective, health of the community itself. We are not only are we building community centers, we are also building community. And a lot of these areas that we work in, access to clean water is a huge hindrance to them. Some of them are spending, hours upon hours every single day, and many of them are children and women that are making these journeys, okay? Those children now have an opportunity not only to not be wasting their time fetching unsafe, contaminated water in a local wetland, but they have access to clean water within their own village, but they also have the opportunity potentially to be able to go to school in one of our schools that we are building for them as well too, right? I think, your question is obviously a very good one.
Obviously.
It's obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's very relative to the location that we're speaking of. What are the problems that community is facing itself? Is it a health problem? Because that's a huge concern for a lot of people. Is it a financial connection problem that they're having, which is also a very important issue that folks are having? Is it a community problem, a communal problem? So many times we're able to solve this issue or these problems all in one with the projects that we're achieving.
All right. Now, speaking of impacts, Scott, can you share some of the unexpected impacts you've seen when you've created and sold these educational products you make?
Definitely. There's so many that we could kind of see first, that we're able to see firsthand, especially when we're out at conferences. So being in places like Miami, being at Pacific Bitcoin, places like that, and having people and families come up and say, my kid just ran up to me last night and asked me to read Goodnight Bitcoin, or if we could a Monster Bitcoin, or want to play the game. One of the surprise unintended consequent or benefits of the game that we lightly thought of when it was created, but we didn't expect it to take hold as much as it did from families, is the game is both competitive and collaborative. And so going back to what I was saying early, so it teaches about Bitcoin mining, and there's two or more players, you're sitting around, you're flipping over cards, trying to match nonces and targets to mine a blockchain, from the Genesis block up to block out of 10. Each player is mining the same chain, just like the miners in Bitcoin, we're all mining the same chain. But you get to the end of the game, assuming that chain is protected to 10, the player with the most Bitcoin rewards wins. Okay, so there's that competitiveness. What we've heard multiple families say over and over is the game's played once, and maybe the two or three kids that lose are sad, and they're like, I want to win. They're hyper competitive. But then they come back around and say, you know what? We actually all won, because I didn't have as many Bitcoin as my brother or sister, but I still got 2, and the other person got 3, and this person got 5. And so because we all worked collaboratively together to protect the chain from an attack, which can happen in the game, if that attack happens, the game's over for everybody. We all lose everything. And so I can't tell you the number of families and parents that have come up to us and said, that's something that outside of the Bitcoin side of things, they're learning a life skill that's important. Beyond that, the most common one that, we always get, why are your games physical? Why are the books physical? Can you turn it into an app? Can you turn it into XYZ? Sure, we can. And maybe one day, the characters are awesome. There's lots of ideas we have. But the reason, the game was the first product. The reason we started with a physical card game instead of an app version is we wanted to bring a sense of real to a heavily, mostly digital space. Bring the families together, bring the friends together, have it be a gathering. The game is good for kids or adults. So we got kids playing it. There's so many Bitcoin meetups out there that are, they play it during their meetup time, that sort of thing. So just bringing people together is a consequence that when we first created it, that was what we wanted. And that has come about. So those are the first two that really pop into my head that we hear often.
Now, I've got plenty of questions left, but I don't want to hog the floor here. I want to make sure that my other Meme Factory teammates have an opportunity to ask you guys some questions here. So I'll open the floor up to them.
But how did you think of a game? I mean, that's not easy. That is not easy to think of a game. And one other thing before you go, I love explaining games to people when I get good at them, but then I like to take it one step further and explain to them what the strategy is. That's always fun for me. And so how did you go through, okay, we're going to make up a game. We're going to think about strategy. How do you make it fair and even? I think that's really hard to think about.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, so like I said, it's my wife and I that are behind Shamri and our 4-year-old daughter. So she's actually the star of the show.
Does she know you're dating Yusuf though?
I don't. Nobody does. Don't talk too loud if in case the microphone carries the other.
There's 11 people at work that watch this. You're good.
Hey, Scott. Let me tell you one thing. Before you. Greg slid into my DMs like three years ago or more back in the day. So
it's true.
You're not the only one doing it.
It's true.
It's a good thing that Elon hadn't turned off the DMs, 3 years ago, or else I would have never met Yusuf. You would have never met Greg, but none of us would be here. Going back to your specific question.
There's a setting button, Scott.
True.
Leave it up to Pedro.
Sorry.
IT chimes in.
Pedro's a lot of fun at parties.
I'm sure he is.
The most fun.
I'm the least fun by far.
Neither myself or my wife had any background in games, manufacturing products, building websites, nothing like that. Really, the idea started from the fact that we initially, myself, and she'll freely admit that, started learning about Bitcoin in kind of that late 2017, early 2018 side of things, which is a typical cycle of hearing about Bitcoin going up, getting dragged in by the shit coins, and then coming back to Bitcoin after a few months, which was good. And then as I kept learning more and more, being able to say, I want to contribute in some way. It just happened to coincide with the fact that we were recently married. Sorry, Yusuf. We're starting to build our family and, realized that there really wasn't much of anything out there to be able to make learning about Bitcoin fun for all ages. At the time, there was the Bitcoin Rabbi book. That was really the only thing you could find. And so we said,
Greg, you're so loud when you're typing, dude.
We said, what can we make ourselves? And at the beginning, it wasn't an idea for a game, but just kind of one day I was reading about Bitcoin mining, and the idea popped in my head that, when you take away all the complexity around mining, it really boils down to a nonce and a target. That's as simple as it can get. And if those two things match up, you have that next block that's mined. And it just clicked in the back of our heads, that's the game of memory. The computers are guessing a nonce to match that target, to create the hash to match the target. The players, when they're playing memory, they're memorizing, where the cards that have been flipped over are bent. So they're using their mental energy to find those matches. And so that's really where the aha moment was for the game, and then kind of built things from there. There were many, many, many versions of really shitty, bad options. So like I said, the monsters were the next aha. Before there was numbers and letters. It wasn't fun. And so we had plenty of tests between ourselves, but then mostly my brother and sister-in-law getting dragged over from across the street to come and play. But once we kind of created these characters, that's really brought Shamri the game, and then subsequently Shamri the company to life.
Cool.
It just clicked for me why it's called Shaw Murray.
Oh, shit.
There you go.
Took me a while. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's all right. I'll pretend like I knew what it meant before Marcus said something.
Yeah, me too, Marcus.
And Marcus just woke up, guys. So.
I get the shop part.
I got the shot part.
really-
Yeah.
Memory part was.
It's kind of funny, right? Because I literally just yesterday listened to, and I believe his name is Scott as well. He was on the
Yeah.
Press and Pitch podcast with a different game. So for a second there, I thought, hey, this is the same guy, but it's not. So you guys got like, are there a lot of competing Bitcoin games out there already, or like it's to me it's so funny, right? Like if you look at like the evolution of like Bitcoin and Bitcoin adoption, you see it in this kind of stuff, right? It like starts out with podcasts, and then people start writing books, and then like Bitcoin just like branches out, or the roots start going into all different kind of tangents and industries. And in this case, like the gaming industry or physical games. I don't know what you would identify as, but anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this question. It's just more of an observation, I guess. But I love to see that, and it's like through these kind of initiatives, I truly feel that like people get like so many different ways of being exposed to Bitcoin, and it just like normalizes itself into society, right? Like it's not like, oh, what is Bitcoin? No, oh, there's a game now. Oh, this person is using it. Oh, you can get it there. You can do this.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
props
it's
up, and
awesome.
I'm really curious about your game, by the way. I'd love to.
I
and
think
what do you charge? What do you charge to name a monster? That was another question I had.
Yeah.
These guys. So these, depends on where you're located. Obviously, international can get a little pricey, but in the States, the monsters are anywhere shipping between like $5 and $10.
No, he's asking the cost to name one.
Oh, to name one. That's a good question.
Is that something for the DM?
Yeah, we can go into the DMs and figure out where that can go.
All right, Pedro will send you a message.
Exactly. You go back to your original question. There are,
what if we turn them into all Meme Factory members, all the monsters?
Oh my god!
Yeah, Sus Corp better start paying us more then.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Pedro, to your specific question at the beginning, I think you asked, are there other people out there doing these games? And you mentioned Scott. So that's Scott Lindbergh. We know him well. And he has this game Hodl Up, which is awesome, that came out a few months ago. And there are other people that have built, like to your point, there's a few other games out there, some other kids' books, that sort of thing. And I would say in particular, the time period from Bitcoin 2022 and now has been we've noticed at least a large growth in people trying to contribute in one way or another to the Bitcoin education space for kids. So whether it's through products, through curriculum, like, Me Premier Bitcoin, there's another gentleman based out of the East Coast who is starting an after-school program called BSTEM that is going to be franchised across the nation to be able to get Bitcoin curriculum into the schools and after-school programs. All of our products, the books and the games, are all STEM authenticated. So going back to the sandwich here, not the sandwich STEM, but the actual the curriculum STEM. And so, our viewpoint is, the schools are going to be the last ones to catch on, but like with most things, it's a while to catch up to the next wave of things, but, we'll be ready. But those STEM centers, after school programs, homeschool environments, they'll probably be the faster adopters to be able to build in this sort of not only Bitcoin curriculum, but financial education, financial literacy, in a greater aspect into what they're doing. And, that's our hope. And there's a lot of people out there trying to help kind of build similarly, and we all work together, which is great.
So if somebody is interested in connecting with you, or also doing that for like their local community or their after school program, like where would you send them to? Or where would they start?
Yeah, so it depends on exactly what they're looking to do. So obviously we're happy to connect and help answer any questions as far as like the way the products can be used within their environments. And then if it comes to like actual curriculum that's being put out there, if they're able to connect with Me Premier or the BSTEM team, or Dusan down in Honduras, who has his education center. Those are just a few that are out there. So being able to know exactly what that need is would then help kind of tailor, okay, this is kind of the types of people you want to connect with and make those introductions. And, Bitcoiners are out there happy to help, especially when it comes to the education for kids side of things.
Taking a page out of Yusuf's book, listening.
Yep. That's why we've been married so long. We listen to each
Now,
other.
when did you get married? I thought you were just dating.
Here he
Happened on the
is.
call.
All right, so Yusuf, I want to take Scott's point about education and the surprising outcomes here, and switch it on over to Build with Bitcoin Foundation. So, especially because you guys built schools as part of the program, what are some of the surprising outcomes you've seen with that construction?
How poor school systems around the world are, including here in the US. How the focus on the student is just not there, unfortunately, or the teachers for that matter. It's just a lot of like transactions, a lot of very numbers based. So the way that we wanted to make a shift there is to really be engraved into the community as much as we possibly could with our relationship with it. So one thing that we do in our model when building schools is the land that we build a school on is donated to us by the community members themselves. So a lot of them, unfortunately, may not have the liquidity to be able to provide school fees, for example, or to help build the school itself, to fund it per se. But if everyone collectively comes together and donates a plot of land that provides equity that they provide, as well as equity for the school system itself, because we're not going to be able to be there every single day. In fact, we don't want communities to be dependent on BWB. We want them to become independent. We want them to be as free thinking as they possibly can be. And so we don't want them to think that we are there for endless amounts of funding, because that's not real. That's not a reality. And so what has shown us in the land being donated is a concerted effort by the community to sustain and maintain the school, because they know that this school, if it wasn't for them maintaining it, it wouldn't be there anymore. What I mean by that is there are security issues all over the world, unfortunately. And so when you have a community who's embedded and who is involved in the education system of their children, a parent with a student is a very powerful being. And when you have, parental choice of what kind of curriculum is going into the school itself and what shouldn't be going into the curriculum, it's a very powerful voice that one can have. And we, as an organization, do not force any type of literacy or educational curriculum on any community. What I mean by that is Bitcoin education. We voluntarily allow that education to be there. And we found more times than not, when you are able to go and tell individuals and explain to them, oh, this is internet money that you can't see, that you can't touch, that you can't feel, because they're so used to having physical fiat, right? These are cash economies that we're talking about, right? Isolated rural communities. How do you explain that? Well, when you say that that water well project that you were able to get water from today was built using Bitcoin. And when you simplify what Bitcoin is, it's just money, right? That allows them to better understand what Bitcoin is, and it allows them to allow the impact that Bitcoin can have on their lives. And when you also say, you see that structure right there, that school that your child goes to on a daily basis, that was also built using Bitcoin as well. So that's where the name Built with Bitcoin came from. We just wanted to build projects with Bitcoin. That should have been a meme itself, to be honest with you.
Should have. Now, I want to make sure that since we've got Labra here, we get a chance to give everybody their scores for the evening so far. So, Labra, I don't know if you've been collecting scores, but it's time to hand them out.
Yeah, I've been listening very carefully, and
Excellent.
I have my scores over here. And this is probably an idea for a future game. This is an open source game, so this is the score the podcast game. So I will start with Greg. So for you, the score of this night is Big Shawarma Harris with potatoes.
Nice.
So that's I don't know, like potato-balism, like cannibalism.
It's one of the best
like
scores I've ever had. I love it.
Potato.
Yeah.
You got it?
Got it.
Potato-balism.
I'm gonna eat it up. Potato-balism.
Yep. Becca, for you, yeah, it's a special pasta with Santorini sauce. Okay, I hope you like it.
Oh, yeah.
Pedro, now that you are laughing, you will get an iPad with Windows Vista.
What?
Yeah, it's
That
a
sounds
new
like
one.
that sounds like an autistic iPad.
Yeah, but this one has Windows Vista for you because
Which
you
is the
like
best.
Yes.
Sean, for you, you have a basket full of tennis balls because I know you like basketball, so this is like
So let's
tennis
go.
tennis
Let's go.
basket. Got it.
It's
Okay.
tennis basket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Markets, you got a table with 3 hairy legs. For some reason, the legs of the table have hairs.
Wait.
Uh,
Does the table have 4 legs or just 3?
It's just 3
Okay, and all of them are hairy.
because he's a
Greg.
kid and he can build and put the other leg.
Greg, there's a such thing as a table with 3 legs.
I just want to make sure if it was describing a table with 4
He
legs and
said
3 of them were
3
hairy.
legs. No, he said he was very
3
specific.
hairy legs.
He said it was a table with 3
I'm
hairy
not-
legs, which leaves open
Yes.
the
I'm not
possibility.
buying any more dog food, by the way, guys. I'm done with this stuff.
Okay, and the best score for the night goes to Yusuf and Scott. They have
Sherry.
they have a wagon with wings and infinite fuel, probably with a nuclear power engine, so you can travel and help more kids like Marcus around the universe. That will be the score.
That's awesome.
A wagon
It also
with
makes the long
wings.
distance relationship easier.
I got very creative with that score.
I think Labra's been playing the new Zelda game.
It's our own version of Oregon Trail. I'm down.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
down.
You've died of dysentery.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
Thank you, Lever. Appreciate that. It's been a while. Since we've
Do you
had
want to
some
play
scores.
number, Greg? I can.
I don't want to, but I have a feeling you're going to give it to us.
Okay.
And
And the average score for everybody will be a 3.14159263538979332.
There it goes. All right, gentlemen. Let's move over to Scott. Scott, what is in the future for Shamry? What kind? Can you give us a sneak peek of any products or projects that are coming up?
Yeah, so still, our biggest focus in the near term is finding a way to get the remaining funds we need to build the well, and so that's a big focus between now and the end of the year. The other thing that we're working on is, we love collaborating, as you can tell with our relationship with Yusuf, with other Bitcoin companies in the space, and so we have a pin coming out in collaboration with BTC Pins, which will be fun, and then working with Rick from Crypto Cloaks on some 3D ideas to go along with the stuff he's printing. So between now and the end of the year, keep your eye out for some of that, and hopefully, we'll both myself, Mallory, and Charlotte will be at Pacific Bitcoin in October and the Texas Blockchain event in November. And so if you're at either of those, be sure to come by, say hi, grab a chamois, grab a game, anything else. But yeah, our biggest issue isn't the ideas; it's the resources to actually create these ideas. So, if people pay enough money for all these monster names, I can create a book a day and put it out there. But being able to kind of slowly build up our product line has been our goal over the past few years, which we've done nicely.
All right. And do you have experience in that field before, or did you dive into this never having worked in games?
Never in the past. So my background is a mixture of public accounting at an audit firm for a number of years. So I think that's where kind of my analytical verification brain comes from. And then for about 13 years, I was in the ed tech industry here in San Diego, managing another number of products, selling into schools. So that's kind of where the education side comes in. And then my wife and better half, Yusuf, is she's a counselor who helps disabled students transition post-graduation from high school into work or certification or whatever their next that might be. So between the two of us, we kind of have an educational mix, but neither of us had ever written books, created products, or that sort of thing. So it was all just kind of done on a whim, and so far so good.
Cool. And spurned lover Yusuf, could you give us a sneak peek into? I know your time here is short, so you might be leaving soon. But can you give us a sneak peek at anything Built with Bitcoin's working on? Anything particular that you're really passionate about that you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to Scott for not being in this space fully and be able to create something like this, and that we all are able to share and cherish, especially the students of our schools. I mean, one thing I want to add on to this, when we go and have, circle time, so to speak, and do reading with the Goodnight Bitcoin book at the schools, they have never even seen colors like that in their lives. So for them to be able to see something like that physically is something very, very it strikes their imagination, and that allows them to be able to think, about things that they didn't think about beforehand. Like what does a monster even look like? What are these colors? So it's been hugely impactful for us, not only for the students but also for the parents, to be able to see something like this, and for Scott, Mallory, and Charlotte to come up with something like this is freaking awesome. Is what I have to say. BWB, we're always working, even during a bear market. This is our second bear market that we've been running the foundation. We've learned a lot from the first bear market. Things are never easy in our space, obviously, but they're always impactful, and that really, Scott said it best: collaborations and partnerships is what really gets us over that finish line for any project that we do. It's not just about the sats that are sent over, but it's the people that are connected to those sats that allows us to be able to be successful. Right now, we are working on, outside of just the Sean Marie project and partnership, Project Sail, which is we are redesigning and renovating the jerry can, which is a water transporter. Yes. So we have trying to tackle this issue that affects over 1 billion people around the world. If you type in water crisis in the global south, one object that will come up is a yellow jerry can that you see everyone transporting water in. Unfortunately, those jerry cans don't carry enough water, don't have the capacity, and they're not ergonomically effective, unfortunately. So they are breaking the musculoskeletal bodies of these individuals that are carrying them, mainly women and children, on their heads, on their sides, on their backs. So as Bitcoiners, we want to disrupt this, and we want to create our very own jerry can. And in doing so, be able to create circular Bitcoin economies by allowing those jerry cans to be filled with filtered water through water well systems that BWB installs in those local communities. So this is a project that I've been working on for 4 years now. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be able to get it jump-started to where we can go into manufacturing.
Very cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can Pedro rename it to the Pedro can?
Depends on how much Bitcoin he's going to be donating.
Whoa.
So that's a no.
UTXOs.
So
one thing I add is, this specific chamois project for the well in Africa, that's dedicated to the Africa continent. And once the well gets built, our plans is, we're going to keep selling these, come up with that next project to build in Africa. But to the point that we've talked to, we have 15 other mocksters. And so our plans that Yusuf and I have is that, the first one gets built in Africa, and then we're going to create that next plushie for the next continent that Yusuf's doing work on, so that we can kind of get another project going. And so it becomes something that people ultimately can say, I've helped the one in Africa, I've helped the one in El Salvador, I've helped the one in Southeast Asia, whatever it is. So then there's this line of ways that people can give back around the world.
So you're like the Kevin Feige of philanthropy.
Yep, just get it everywhere.
Nice. Now, I'm curious, how do you guys do important work? You're working with education, you're working with making sure that people have things they need to live a life. Do you take it as a personal affront when somebody is out there taking the buzzwords from Bitcoin and shilling stuff like NFTs or orbs to scan your retina or the next Bitcoin? Like, how does it affect your mental state? How does it affect your business? How does it affect your foundation?
I mean, I'm not trying to get emotional on the Meme Factory podcast here, but when what happened with FTX late last year really affected the communities that we work in, that we've established relationships with. And what I mean by that is, it created a lot of distrust and mistrust. Folks thinking that we were a part of that, right? That Bitcoin is a part of that, right? Oh, but they bought all this Bitcoin, but they really didn't have Bitcoin. So is Bitcoin actually real? So there was so much more damage that was done with what that individual or individuals did to our space and to the work that we do, that they don't even, it's unquantifiable for them. They can't even comprehend what happened. And that's why I will never forgive those that did this. Not solely just for the fact that they rugged everybody along with them, and that they lied, obviously, and stole, but more so, it put us back a couple of years for all of the great momentum that we have been able to build in these respective communities, and any community that we want to be able to go and work in moving forward. The difficulty, I'll give you one example. We opened up a Bitcoin technology center in Ghana. An individual from a neighboring community, was a village chief, came in there and said, oh, these people, they're trying to teach you about this money that will be stolen. It's a gamble, it's a casino, right? And this is a village chief speaking like this at the inaugural ceremony of a BTC center being opened up. Later, we found out that this individual was educated in the States from New York and was an investor for a specific company, okay? And they lost a ton of money. So they came, and out of the ill will and the malice in their heart, unfortunately, they came to rain a parade, a fiat parade, all over our BTC center, which was going to affect the lives of men, women, and children in a positive way for this community, right? So all these people shilling this and that, like, it's cool to talk about it on Twitter. Like, it's fun to like make fun of it, and because it needs to be made fun of.
Thank you.
But there are some, there's some damaging effects that happens to everyday human beings outside of our ecosystem, outside of just people that are on social media, that don't even have connection to social media, that hear about it. And it's like, oh, when I go into this community now, how are they going to feel? Am I going to be embraced the same way that I was? Am I going to be welcomed? Because it's not my home. I'm a guest in their home, right? It's a privilege and an honor for me to be able to walk in there, right? So these are the kinds of things that.
Do you think that the negative could be turned into a positive as well? Because what happens is a lot of people, as you go through this Bitcoin is dead cycle, right, which we've seen happen over and over again, and then it comes back to life, then people realize, whoa, this actually is real. Maybe Yusuf and crew actually were right. And so sometimes, yeah, it may hurt now, but at least I've seen personally in my life people who were like, oh wow, yeah, that thing's dead, and then they watch it go through one bear market as I'm telling them that I'm getting interested in Bitcoin, and then yeah, I'm all in on this, and then they go, oh yeah, this is actually coming back to life. And so now that we're in another bear market, then they go, oh yeah, it'll be around, like it just does this from time to time. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, like if that negative can be turned into a positive as things turn around.
100%, Sean. I mean, every moment is a teaching moment, whether it's something positive or whether it's something negative. And I've used this term 100 times on this conversation, but the relationship is the most important asset here, right? The Bitcoin is, it's there and it's understood, but the real work, the sweat equity that goes into this is the relationship building. So if you have an individual that has come and spent time and effort into making this project a reality from overseas or from somewhere else, and they're coming back to you and talking to you about it, like, hey, if you have any questions, any concerns, any reservations, this peer-to-peer kind of interaction, so to speak, the interpersonal communication that I spoke about previously, that is really what is most valuable here when it comes to those isolated rural communities because they need that physical human being to human being interaction. And what they hear from Facebook or what they hear from their friend who has a Twitter or whatever is negligible if you have a very strong relationship with them in that community. It's not easy though. Like it's not just to flip a switch and everything's all good. But to your point, how can we change this negative situation into a positive and allow it to be a teaching moment that, hey, Bitcoin is the only thing. It is the only cryptocurrency that you should be concerned about. All this other stuff is just noise, right? If you want the real signal, here it is.
Definitely. Sorry, go ahead. Becca looks like she's nodding her head over there.
Muted.
Oh, she's muted.
Oh, I was just agreeing, and I was just thinking, I can't wait to get a Shamory pin. I was looking at my pins in front and Scott's shirt, and I was like, oh yeah, I need one of those.
Hey, we need some from Crypto
Anyways.
Cloaks too.
Yeah.
All right. We're at about the point in the show where I normally go to RD or Rusty, but I don't have many options here. What do you think, Sean? What do you think, Becca? Which one of these three?
Definitely
Elaborate.
Pedro.
I agree. That's what I said.
What
All
the
right.
fuck?
So
Marcus is a flip flopper.
yeah, he is. He saw which way the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
He was happy. He was happy it wasn't him.
I gotta win.
Wait, elaborate. Wait, oh, Pedro? Okay, yeah, Pedro.
All right, Pedro, you've been nominated to go with the RD questions, so at your convenience, and if you can, get a British accent in there.
We're not going to do the British accent. I mean, I think we have to do this like once a month,
You
right?
will.
Where I just tell you that I'm not going to do an accent.
What about like a Spanish? What about like a Spanish accent?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I look, I'm dog shit at accents. That's
Do
the
an
fact.
do an American accent.
No.
Yeah.
That's why
Just-
you want
He
to hear
said
it.
no. He said no. He said no.
What
Just like
that
saying
meant-
no is what it is. That's all.
Yeah, I love saying no. I deeply enjoy saying no to people, and I also enjoy saying "fuck you, Greg."
There we go. There it
that's,
is.
all right. Hey guys. Let me check my notes here.
Wait, what accent is that? That sounds weird.
This is
That's
my
pretty good.
accent.
That's
Marcus.
a no accent.
Yeah, it's no.
I tried.
You say water for us.
About a wall.
Water.
The water. About water.
Awa.
Say it. Say it. Water.
Awa.
All right. Let's keep going here.
All right. Scott and Yusuf, thank you for joining us tonight. This question is for both of you. If the meme factor did exist, which we all know it doesn't, which one of us would you like? Which one of us would you retweet? And which one of us would you mute?
And zarp.
And we all know everybody zaps Becca, so you don't have to answer that question.
I guess I would say I will like Becca because she made me a sandwich and it's dinner time.
Nice.
So we'll go there. I will. Sorry, Labra, I'll mute you just because I don't need to hear pie again.
Okay, I'll
Congratulations.
read by again.
You like sandwiches but not pie.
Yeah.
Literally, Labra needs to be muted right now.
I know. I'm waiting for it.
The retweet. It's a good question. I guess
What
I'll
do
go
you
back to
think about
Greg.
it?
Greg's the
Three
reason I'm
points.
here. You know, he answered the DM. You wanted to chat, so I'll give Greg the retweet to spread awareness.
All right.
Damn it. Okay. So
I'll
go with the mute.
It's real hard.
I'll go with the mute similarly to Scott because I wrote my pie down and it's only 3.14 for me. Okay.
I'll give you the rest of the numbers if you want, Yusuf.
No, thank you. I will retweet Becca because she offered food and no one else did, and that's very fitting. So thank you, Becca. Who would I
We're gonna
like?
do a water menu next time.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
different
Oh,
types of water. Yeah. Um, and
See, Pedro, it's not that hard.
I gotta say, like Sean, because I've never seen someone with their own background. You know,
You gotta be
I've been doing it
confident.
wrong. I've been doing it wrong, bro. And I want to thank you for showing me the way.
Don't forget Marcus. Don't forget
And
Marcus.
I don't know.
No, you kept
Yeah.
blocking me out, Sean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a robe? Is that a robe, Sean?
He's
Is
giving
that a
Marcus
robe?
the rusty treatment.
Someone
It's
has
a
to
wet
take-
towel.
I
He
think
likes
it's-
to beat me in the shower.
I think it's clear. What?
What?
What the?
Oh,
All right,
my
we're
God.
getting
Did I say that
canceled.
out loud? I'll mute myself.
We're getting canceled. This is our last show.
Yeah.
You
these-
wish.
Yeah. Not for a long time.
Wait. Did Marcus just say he gets beat in the shower by Sean? That's what.
Well, he intimated that, and that what he said in particular was that it's for beating him in the shower. Is that what I heard? Right?
All right, this is a new show.
Yeah, new show.
Hmm.
All right, Sean, hit him with block 840.
So, Yusuf, Scott, you guys know what's happening in block height 840,000?
The meme factory is happening.
That doesn't stop TikTok next live stream. What else? This is Bitcoin related. A clue. There was
Or-
it happened block height 210,000. It happened block height.
A halving?
Yes.
The Bitcoin
Let's
halving?
go. The Bitcoin halving happens. Block height 840,000. We, the Meme Factory, are having the first halving party in El Salvador. We're inviting all the plebs to come down to celebrate. We've sold, I think, around 175 tickets so far, and we still are a few months out. So it's going to be a blast. There's going to be a lot of fun things to do. There's going to be some games.
There you go.
There's going to be some water. There's going to be other drinks and food. And come on down, guys. It's going to be awesome. And it's just a way to actually celebrate something that happens in Bitcoin, which is the halving.
Is there gonna be pie?
Yes,
Yes. Well, there will be a dog that says pie all the time.
3.14%, 100%. Hey, Sean, I have a question for you. Where can I buy my tickets for the having party?
I don't know. Ask Pedro. He might know.
I didn't know we had a having party. The website is Bitcoin having party. Wait, what's the website, Sean?
BitcoinHavingParty.com.
Okay, there we go.
HTTPS
Oh my god.
://www.
All right, so Yusuf and Scott, you've been very generous with your time tonight. If you could take a moment and tell our viewers where they can find you and where they can find more information about what you're doing.
For sure. Well, thanks for having us on the Shamray side of things. So shamray.com is the website to grab anything you need, including the chamois that'll help support the work Yusuf's doing on your social media of choice at Play Shamray. I'm not going to read my NPub, but you can find us over on Nostr as well, or myself on Twitter at Scott M. Sibley. And DMs are open everywhere. I do have the correct settings. Feel free to shoot a note, find us shoot an email, whatever it is. We're always happy to answer questions, collaborate in any way, and connect and chat.
Yeah. At Built with BTC on Twitter. We're very active on there. Builtwithbitcoin.org is our website. You can check out some photos, some of our work, a lot of content that we have to continue to add on. I'm headed to Africa in a couple of weeks actually to collect more content and deliver some of these chamois to some of the students of our school. So it's very, very exciting. And lastly, I hope I don't get canceled from my Sus Corp disclaimer there that I had to share.
Yep.
But it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with all of you and get to know y'all. And I hope that we can make it for that having party. Scott and I, we gotta plan our honeymoon, so it may be there in El Zonte.
Perfect.
That'd be awesome. And one thing, actually, Yusuf, we forgot to mention. Good thing you brought it up. So
The
if
wedding
people are
day.
interested, if they don't have kids or their own, or they don't want to have a cuddly creature to cuddle with at night, they can also gift these chamois to children in
Yes.
Africa. And so whether there's one off, you can buy one, gift it with a little gifting section, or if you're a whale or a company out there, you want to sponsor a bundle. So we've gifted, I can pull it up here. They haven't all made it yet, and Yusuf's gonna have to take a few trips, 240 to the kids in Africa so far. And so a handful got delivered during the first run.
It's probably really good that Rope's not here with us tonight.
It's definitely very good. The Rope's not here listening.
But no, it's another way to get involved, and you see the pictures and videos, and Yusuf's lucky enough to see it firsthand, the smiles that the kids get when they're cuddling these guys. So just another fun way to take part in the project Yusuf and I have.
Well, I appreciate the work you guys are doing, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your days to come on a Meme Factory podcast that doesn't exist. Thanks again.
Thank you
all.
guys.
Appreciate
Thank you,
y'all. Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good night,
Thanks for having
everybody.
us.